Her hands are bound behind her candidate, who found the perfect hill on which to lay it down for good. Who she might not agree with on apartheid or celebrating war crimes, but talks just like she could. He's got the IDF's back and the CIA's back like a Democrat should. Mr. Anti-Establishment didn't start the fire, but he's slipping on his hood. Her voice is grafted to a candidate who might not always speak for her, but what is she to say? Why bother harping on an issue that Americans won't listen to? It seems like such a waste. But what activism is saying they don't give a shit, but if I don't, why would they? So way to rob yourself of agency, then chain yourself to genocide and look the other way. I love to see a fellow running as a Democrat, taking stacks of money from a GOP super PAC, calling out corruption in the giant fucking country club he's clearly been accepted at, but wants to be the leader of. He knows which way the money runs, knows it paves a leader's path, and human rights for Palestine historically don't lead to that. So he will not address it, as he doesn't see a need for that. And welcome to the attitude our country's politicians have displayed toward Palestinians since back before they cracked the will of Arafat. And so the story goes forever after. We do not speak the P word here or recognize the Nakba. All you'll find are sea lions who volunteered as actors, barking like a manuscript from NAFTA. All you'll find are insulated sycophants intent on justifying why the slaughter done in Palestine is not a voting matter. Tell that to Shireen Abu Akleh. Tell that to the children growing up inside a city where the walls are made of shackles. Tell that to a mother who is burying her baby, how her son is not our problem because we'll never see his grave. He's just a topic we can mute, or we can scroll right past his face and all the videos of mourners being beaten at his wake. So stuff your poll on what the average voter sees as urgent. They don't get to know the half of what we use as our detergent when we launder all our ISIS cells, our cartels and insurgents. We do not elect the man behind the curtain. We elect the pull string diversion. We elect the lesser evil donors pre-selected best to do unto the Arabs as we did unto the Persians, and do unto the Muslims as instructed by the merchant who provided you with HIMARS that can vaporize a person. Back into the dust in which we all will find immersion. One arms dealer's Jenin is another dealer's Curson. Both are just a mark that Lockheed Martin smells a purse on. And voters are the hollow thralls that Congress put a curse on to vote against their interests every 4 years till they die. And if you show them Palestine, cry better them than I. Though the curse of occupation's taken place within their mind, they will always love their prison, long as they are shown the sky. They will sing about their freedoms under Apple's watchful eye, as puppets dance and sing should you so pull their strings and wires. And they'll rally round the man who bears a torch and bears it high, and believe him when he tells them that he's here to stop the fire. We're cursed to love our prison and keep lifting up our liars. We are not behind the wheel, we're being crushed beneath the tires. And our blood is in the oil, and the plastic on the wipers, and our blood is on the hands of those who cranked inflation higher. And blood is on a vest where press can barely be deciphered, put there by a few Israeli snipers who were aiming at the center mass of truth about American desires. That you can sell us any story. We're a nation built of buyers, and we love a good parade. It always makes us feel inspired, like who cares that those were Nazis? Gosh, they had the whitest smiles. So I wouldn't bank on sequels to the Nuremberg trials. If they happened now, they would be confidential Pfizer style. Redacted paragraphs and empty vials, close to 80 years before they share their files. Well, luckily, your lesser evil logic lets you justify the nations we've defiled. Lesser evil logic lets you cast a vote for someone that you know is truly vile. Lesser evil logic sees another million bodies thrown upon its hoarder's pile, extending out for miles. So every line I've had to scrap, I've turned back into bile. So don't you touch that dial, lest the feds come swarm your door. Guess it isn't safe to say things like I don't support the war, or may Palestine know freedom from the Jordan to its shores, or I'd love to see our senators get trampled by the poor. Any pull-string Dem will tell what they're allowed to stand up for, and how little things like Palestine are better off ignored. You can call it voter outreach for some desperate remoras when the shark from which they get their scraps starts pulling on the floor. And the shark says those who live beneath a brutal occupation should be thankful for their freedoms and their rubble and their gore. And I swear it only makes those bottom feeders love him more. One in particular is beaming for her candidate who found the perfect hill on which to make his final stand. And she will not be deterred by all those pesky little war crimes, will not be deterred by his support for stolen land. He helps her come to terms with how to spin an occupation, and forgiving the oppressor is the democratic way. She says her voice is grafted to the candidate who speaks for her, and every time you pull her string, she's nothing new to say.
Anybody who's deliberately targeting civilians, they should be prosecuted and they should be jailed and the key should be thrown away. But, I don't see any proof of that.
He really does believe this, guys, to his soul.
But he doesn't understand. How could he? He's a policeman.
I'm just here to set the place on fire. I'm World War III. I am a cacophony.
I bet they'll burn the record, because the truth would have them hung. And the record will reflect that there were thousands of tongues screaming, "Stop Cop City," at the top of their lungs, waiting for democracy that never comes. Now in war, you hear a chorus born of voices in defeat. In Georgia, there's a forest full of vibrant, healthy trees. And somewhere in a meeting room no camera ever sees, a council plans on bridging both extremes to build a city where no citizen will sleep, where every home's as vacant as the soul of every cop that walks its streets. They are empty, cold, and lifeless, like the heart of every officer patrolling on the beat, doling out the beat to all the homeless folks they meet. Another swine smiling while they wallow in your taxes, but they still insist their funding's incomplete. So we had better spend approximately double what we'd need to make the water safe in Flint so they can train somewhere in peace. Far removed from public view, disturbingly discreet. Somewhere they can breathe and learn the proper way to place a knee. Away from prying eyes and all those witnesses so quick to scream and start a hurried stream. I guess our heaps of billions wrenched away from education still can't supplement their needs. Well, that's breaking news to me. I was under the impression every city in this country was a playground for police, a space for them to train to be the worst that they could be till they're free of any conscience when they meet us in the streets. I thought that they used Akron as the Stasi soft release and gave New York a budget big enough to fill the sea. I thought the training ground for the driveway drive-by existed at Los Angeles PD. And I think it might be far too late for us to see Atlanta's just a single seed. One they seek to plant in every space that's quiet, safe, and green. They want a grove in every city, one whose harvest picks us clean, and the fruit that forms like tumors on the branches it conceives will curdle every healthy humor should you trust enough to eat. So believe the morbid rumors you hear echo on the breeze, for the forest had its hands up and was calmly on its knees. And I bet they'll burn the record, for the record will concede that Tortuguita had their hands up when the fusillade released. That constituent opinion does not sway you in the least when you're an agent of the fascist beast. And if any cop is listening, then memorize this part. You are more a waste of public space than noble beating heart. You will never be as brave as those you've snuffed out in the dark. You have only left a stain, you will not make a lasting mark. And the same for every council chair who heard their city speak, who were asked to represent the ones who chose them all to lead, and who opt for more Gestapo because they're frightened and they're weak. You cannot claim democracy, then sleep on free speech like the whisper of a forest creek. You cannot block dissent like it was all some awful dream, any more than you'd endeavor to remove the children's screams from a damning piece of evidence that we don't need police. And we would gladly trade them each for trees. So I bet they'll burn the record that our kids will never know how they designed a fascist paradise and vowed to make it so. And death hung in the air one night to consecrate their land with the consummate oppressor's hand. And now, shining on a line, a medal waits for every man in a city where no human stands. It's just the guardians of capital, with killer's union drip, blood badge on their uniform and bravery on their hip. No humanity to speak of, no compassion on their lips. Just Atlanta under full eclipse. So I bet they'll burn the record, lest the truth would see them hung. For the record will reflect that there were thousands of tongues crying, "Stop Cop City," at the top of their lungs. But democracy would never come.
I'm World War III. I am a cacophony.
Good morning, Sunday morning. Good morning, Sunday morning.
We're 40 Sunday mornings out from normal, and the world is not the same. Said you waited for a warning, but the warning never came. Don't shine a light in my face.
Nancy gonna cut you a check too late. 2 years after your funeral's paid, 2 years after the grave, she'll be a little stronger for all of the dollars she saved. Watching you wake, watching you cling to your family slipping away. Watch her do nothing but pray. Watch her condemn the Republicans, take them to brunch and then shrug it away. Now watch us be outraged half of a day, then pick a new hero to face our leaders and think they could beat them, playing the game they played since Pelosi had real human blood in her veins. They're all one and the same, sold off stocks and they all maintain that the risk was benign and the virus was tame. Flash forward in 40 Sunday mornings fade, 250,000 people in its wake, and the cruise ship sailed today. So motherfucker, don't shine a light in my face. Wait.
Good morning, Sunday morning. Good morning,
Wait.
Sunday morning.
Wait. We're 40 Sunday mornings out from normal, and the world is not the same. Said you waited for a warning, but the warning never came. Don't shine a light in my face. Said you waited for a warning, but the warning never.
No, Indy left. What is happening here?
To check out IndependentLeft.news.
The Indie News Network.
Indie Left News.
Oh, hey, Indie Left.
IndependentLeft.news. Great work.
Indie Left News.
IndependentLeft.news.
Independent Left News.
Shout out to Independent Left News. Shout out. Oh, what's up, Independent Left? Indie Friend show.
Thank you, IndependentLeft.news.
The INN, Indy, you're wonderful.
I think Indy was onto something.
Independent News Network, Indie News.
Yeah. What's up, Indy, over on Rockfin?
Independent News Network, also known as INN.
Indie Left News.
I don't know if I would have made it through that 3 weeks without Indy, honestly.
No, I was just going to ask Indy.
A huge thank you and shout out to Indie Left.
No, you know what we're doing? We're world building, Indy.
Indie Left News.
You were doing the INN recruiting.
Indie News.
Independent Left News.
Shout out to Independent Left News.
Check out Independent Left News.
At Kennedy News.
I see Indy's in the chat. Hi, Indy. Okay, great.
Who are these people?
Who are these people? We're back. Hi. We're gonna try this. I hope we don't drop frames, and I hope we don't drop stream. I got this guy here. Another one. Yep, this is another one. I'm Indy. I was gonna say I'm Reef, but no, I'm Indy. That's Reef. over there, that guy waving, and I'm wheezing, which is weird, but not so much.
Wheezing, I'm dead.
Yeah, well,
That's what she said.
actually, I'm the dad, and it's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Yep.
We've got a few stories we're going to cover tonight, and then we are going to get to Boats at Midnight. Boats smashing into other boats, which is our React channel, our React show that everybody seems to love as much, if not more, than the news show, funny enough. Sarah is over on the Rumbles. Who are these people? We've also got a Ghost Start over on INN Rumble. Who are these people? Hi, Ghost Start. We got loyal fam here because we know there's a bunch of other choices and a lot of other people live, and we appreciate everybody being here because they're the people who want to be here, and we love you for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote an article about a week ago or so. I'm going to go through it because I didn't really hear anybody go through it. I mean, I think maybe Himbo and Crab went through it on Politically Homeless, but unless you actually like sat down and read it, you only heard snippets of it. Like if you watch me on Hardlands, I was on Hardlands talking about it. And I'll show a little bit of that while at the end there, or at least have a link to it. But yeah, so I wrote an article about Stripe and what happened with the Last American Vagabond, and we talked about it. You know what? We talked about it very briefly at the end of Boats last Sunday night. Because we did do Boats, by the way, Ghost Star. Last Sunday night, we got crashed out twice on the live stream for How Do We Miss That? But we decided to come back and give Boats a shot, and it went through clean without dropping one frame, which made me even angrier than anything. Because, come on, man. Like, we could have at least, you could. Why aren't we going to our 2-shot? That's weird. The other split screen too, like that one. Why didn't it go to that? That's weird. Stream Deck broken? No, I did not load Stream Deck right now. It probably is, because why not? The other one wasn't. Anyway. So not only that, we're going to talk about some labor. We haven't talked about labor in a while, mostly because Reef fucking hates talking about labor.
So boring most of the time.
It's insufferable for him. All right, and before we do that, I'm going to move Jesse's box up here with the QR code so that I'm not blocking Bong Cam, or at least the main Bong in Reef's face. It's much better back there. Check out that lit up INN sign behind Reef right there. He 3D printed that. That is so kick-ass. Yeti just got one behind him. Oh, now he's got the moving lights that move with his voice, which is even weirder and creepier, but that's another story. So we're going to talk about some labor.
Someone said I looked like I was inside R2-D2.
Well,
another stream.
Well, no, he's tinkering.
Funny.
Yes, he's actually building the components for R2-D2. Yep. and then we'll talk about Free Julian Assange, some new information and updates about what's going on there. So I have a couple of stories, like I said, and let's go through the Stripe story. And rather than doing it as like a scrolling article, I decided to get all fancy and stuff and stick it into a PowerPoint or a slideshow. So what happened? Holy crap. This is a crazy story. All right. We started to talk about it a little bit. Like I said, we had a 3-minute cut on at the end of How Do We Miss That? Talking about how Stripe was screwing with the Last American Vagabond. But I don't even know if I had written this article yet. No, we're not cheering for that. What are we doing there? No, we're not cheering for that. That was bad. Okay. No, it's bad. So Stripe has a monopoly. We're not cheering for that. No yay for that. All right. Stripe screwed with the Last American Vagabond. We're definitely not cheering for that. Last American Vagabond, by the way, Indie Media Award honoree. Let's get that kicked off for tonight. All right. Exclusive. It was an exclusive article written by us, and no one else had really been talking about this, which is why I wrote it up, and I couldn't believe a big vulnerability for Substack and creators is Stripe. What the hell? More creators are having issues with Stripe, with Substack's exclusive payment processor Stripe, but they're not just exclusive for Substack. They're exclusive for locals. They're exclusive for Buy Me a Coffee. A lot of our favorite content creators actually do rely on Stripe quite a bit for payouts for credit card processing. So I start this out that as a platform that advertises free speech and a censorship-free environment, as long as you adhere to their minimal T's and C's, and they won't even censor people when they got accused of platforming Nazis, and we're going to talk about that at the end of the article. Substack is hiding a dirty little secret, all right, that the company is stealthily outsourcing the potential for censorship to its exclusive payment provider, Stripe. Wait, yes, they've been alerted to this and strangely have been silent, at least publicly. Alarmingly,
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
All right. Alarmingly, Stripe has the control and power to indiscriminately close out one's account without further appeal, conversation, or discussion, thereby eliminating a creator's ability to monetize on Substack and multiple other websites. That's a few of them. Apparently now Spotify uses them to pay out as well. Now, Ko-fi is not exclusive, so you can get a payout through PayPal if you're allowed to monetize through PayPal. Now, Ryan, the Last American Vagabond, has already been kicked off of PayPal. So we did this little 3-minute video where we talked about this and about the problem. So that was last Sunday night. Monday, I got so mad that I started writing an article. And I think I published it on like Wednesday or Thursday, or I'd done it the week before. Okay, bye, Reef.
Sorry, dog will yell at me if I don't let dog in.
Doggo. Okay, that's a dog call. So here's what happened with the Last American Vagabond. Stripe demonetized, told them on May 27th, on Memorial Day, he published, Ryan puts out on his Twitter, I need help because here's another act of financial censorship carried out today by Stripe. Since they updated their terms of service in April, they suddenly claim I'm in violation. We provide a clear service, yet they claim we're crowdfunding, and we are a crowdfunder. That's crazy, right? And that starting June 10th, Sunday, June 10th, he would no longer be able to monetize. Now, at the time, there had been zero appeal to his knowledge. He had requested an appeal twice and had been denied. I found out later on. I actually, had a back and forth with him after all of this. This was, again, in early June. I published this June 4th. Okay. But I also put out on Substack Notes, hey, are there any other people that are having problems with this? So first we find out that a Canadian guy comes back and says, Pundit Man says, he was required to provide verification requirements, and he's an anon. And he's like, why do I have to provide, like, personal identity requirements to get paid by Stripe? Like, they're processing my credit cards. This is weird. All right. So we're writing to let you know that we're updating the verification requirements for Canada-based Stripe accounts. As a result, your account has outstanding requirements, and requirements due, and you need a user with verified ID to sign in and complete it. It was what the rest of it said. I don't know if that's a Canadian government thing. I don't know if that's a regulation thing. I don't know what the hell that is. All right. We've got Stripe rejecting some creators' subscribers who are trying to upgrade their subscription. Now, I found out after the fact, and I'm glad I get to have this conversation and slow down for a second, because it turns out that this was more a error on Substack's side, because this creator has been working very closely with Stripe. And they're like, honestly, Stripe has been really helpful. And what they're telling me is that I've got subscribers that are trying to upgrade, and somehow there's something wrong when when they're trying to do their upgrade, something isn't connecting, and that's actually happening from the Substack API, and I've got receipts. Like, wow, okay. But in the beginning, he thought that somebody was pulling his chain and that it was a problem with Stripe. And again, it just seems to be that the problems are happening with Stripe. But on top of that, I got a lot more. I got another guy from another country that shall not be named, because to keep him anonymous and protect his identity, said that Stripe monetization isn't even available to all creators, as many countries, like the one that I live in, are ineligible from another creator. Okay. Stripe doesn't allow payment and most of the world. So there was discrimination from the beginning. Basically, writers from rich Western countries and their allies get paid, and those from poorer countries don't. The G7 is intending to sanction countries using Russia's alternative to Stripe. And if this is true, then there should be an alternative offered in these countries, right? Like that just seems to make sense financially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Stripe has canceled accounts that they don't consider to be active enough. Ask Liz Burton. Now, again, on top of this, Liz Burton reached out and was like, yeah, that's not exactly what happened. I know I said that, but there was more to it. That was a work account. We weren't using it. The business closed. Like, okay, but she was getting paid out through Square and did okay with Square. And that was the point of hearing that. Like, I haven't heard of any of them Stripe canceling any Substack accounts because of a lack of activity. I will say that here on stream.
Coming to a Substack newsletter near you.
Ooh, with the echo. Ooh, I got
Echo.
double mad cow.
I don't know how that worked out.
I don't know, but don't do that again. Stripes. So here, our friend Karina Malatesta, she runs a phenomenal newsletter, and I won't say the word because I don't want to trigger him. But she runs a great newsletter. She does an international news roundup. She's very focused on the updates on Palestine and covering Al-Mayadeen and other sources. So Karina read what I was saying, and I was starting to warn people back, at the end of May, and on notes and tagging people and asking the founders, what's going on here? She says, nope, yeah. I'm never going to join Stripe. That's all I needed to know. USA means Israeli surveillance, just like Twitter with Authentics and AU10TIX. If you haven't looked into it, the Gray Zone's done some phenomenal work about the company that Twitter has, or whatever, Elon Musk and his weft puppet CEO have decided to hire for their verification process is a Unit 8200 Mossad outfit called Authentic. But anyway, Karina says that after reading Authentics, Karina says after reading this, then I'm never going to join Stripe. I'm never giving those lunatics my personal information. So I actually had tagged the CEO of Stripe, who's on here, Patrick something. But here's one that really was holy shit, and I got even more craziness. I said, as I was writing this article, I got tagged in another note about a similar issue that Live Without Limits with Klaus is experiencing. He's obviously over in Europe. All right. More than 60% of his Stripe transactions are failing, which means that he's got people that sign up, and for whatever reason, it then says that their credit card didn't process and cancels their subscription. What a pain in the ass. Now they need to go and resubscribe. Somebody needs to tell them this happened. They need to go and resubscribe and fix whatever this is. And a lot of the subscribers just aren't going to do that. Whose job is it to track down all those subscribers? Because Stripe's email, if the subscriber even sees it, isn't working, obviously. Klaus is really freaking out about this, and I can understand.
Yeah.
But this one, holy shit. All right. This one's unreal. So what the word herder just found out is that I went to go undo my connection to Stripe and found out that if I stop using it, they want me to refund all the money that ever went through them back to them so they can refund it to my readers and probably keeping their cut.
The money is there.
All right. When I clicked the button for assistance, nothing happened. Odd, huh? These people lied to me when I turned it on, saying I wouldn't have to have a second verification for a while, but BS. Yeah. So we're seeing a pattern here, and it all leads back to one choke point, which is Stripe. Oh, but I got more. A lot of Jimmy Dore fans would be familiar with Robert Malone, also people who have been following the COVID stuff, because he proclaims himself to be the father of the mRNA vaccine. That is alleged and disputed in a lot of circles. But I don't care either way, but what I do care about is that Stripe came to him and asked for additional financial verification about where his money was coming from. What? Excuse me? Like, what? You're a fucking payment processor. Why are you getting involved? All right.
Where's the money, Lebowski?
To the point where he had to crowdfund. Why am I getting late? All right. Where he had to crowdfund. Oh, no buffering. No buffering. We're good. All right. Robert Malone ended up having to crowdfund legal fees, and he sued Stripe for this, and he won. Yep. And they ended up backing down and not requiring whatever financial info they were asking for that he never provided, and continue to process his payments and have his account in good standing. They demanded financial details from authors, and he wrote that. I don't know if anybody else that got it. I know that he did. And then our friend Samara, who got a shout out on Hardlands Media. I thought that was really cool of Kit. Shout out, Samara runs Liberty Magazine. He started that right about like November. And he tried to build out like a multi-writer outlet, not just one, kind of like what we do at INN Stack. And he got screwed with by Stripe too. They effectively froze his accounts, and then later on he was like, fuck you, Stripe, you've completely destroyed our ability to monetize. Now they're working on multiple different ways for Liberty Magazine to raise money. So it's been a mess, right? But all right, so I bring all these receipts, right? And Stripe is the problem. But I've been in business a long time, and I know that, first of all, you need alternatives, and the big thing is diversity. But all right, don't just bring me problems, bring me solutions. And that's what my bosses have always told me. And this is, the better employees actually don't just complain. They actually have answers on what to do about it, or at least choices on what to do about it. And guess what? One of those choices will actually probably be picked, or not, but at least bring them. So I acknowledge that adding more providers adds a layer of complexity to both finance and IT, and to ensure that they got to ensure that all these API fields, API is just a big database effectively. And what you need to do is map your API, your database, to the database on the other side, so that you don't have to download a massive amount of data on a daily basis. I'm just giving you a little inside baseball about how data works. The API is like the advanced form of a database, where I know exactly where that data that I'm going to need on the other guy's thing is going to sit. I'm just going to ping just that field rather than download the whole database so I can get that field. I'm only going to ping it right out of your database, Bing. And that's what's going on. And Stripe has an API, and Substack has an API, and other payment processors have APIs. And if you just plug them all into Substacks, guess what? The customer is going to get, the reader's going to get the same experience, and the writer will get the same experience. Substack will have to deal with a couple of different companies on how to arrange those plugins. But once that's made, it basically runs on its own, and it gives people choice. All right, so it's critical that the readers and subscribers, like I said, have a consistent experience, irrespective of payment processor, but this should not be that hard. If Buy Me a Coffee has already figured it out, if there are other platforms that have already figured this out, there really is no reason to find other ones and to offer choice. So the first one that I think may not be the greatest choice in the end, but Square/Block could appear to be a potential alternative. They're as big as Stripe, or almost. They're a publicly traded global organization with an API and a direct competitor. Now, I found out afterwards that they did some COVID censorship, allegedly. I did not look deep into that. I still need to look deeper into it. All right, but their hate speech and how that can be manipulated. And I'm also reading that they also charge among the highest fees in the industry, which of course is not going to be what Substack wants, but with the size that Substack has, they could probably negotiate a pretty good deal with Square for the kind of volume they're going to provide. right? But Square also offers a lot of things that Substack would not really take advantage of. Now, this one I thought was really interesting, and that's called Global Payments. By the way, in the article, I link to all these different things. I provide receipts to all this, so everybody who wants to go digging can feel free to, because I did. So, Global Payments, and I don't know where they're based out of. That could be the company that's out of Russia that Mike is talking about. I don't know. But Global Payments appears to be a potential suitor. They can handle the processing worldwide. They handle most major credit cards in most countries, which empowers Substack to expand its monetization footprint to those countries. But they also, I found out, deal in crypto. So not only could you monetize in multiple countries where you're not, there are a handful of creators that are asking to be able to be paid in crypto. Okay, I'm not saying that Substack needs to be involved in crypto, although can't you see the stack token working? I mean, come on. Anyway, I'm just joking. I'm not a crypto fan, but if there are creators that do want to transact in that, why are we restricting their ability to do so? Here's the third one. It's called Clearly Payments. Now, I don't know about their scalability, although right there it says scalable and secure solutions for online payments. So that tells me they can handle what they're looking for. So that was just like a rudimentary search, right? Mm-hmm. And I addressed PayPal. While it appears that PayPal may present itself as an alternative, we know through Richard Medhurst, through The Last American Vagabond, Whitney Webb, and many others, they have been heavy on the censorship. They've been known to censor or mess with payments that even mention the word Palestine or Syria, for example. And our friend Samara tells me that on the right that they've been doing the same thing. You know, Liberty Magazine. I don't know if they personally have been censored, but people he knows have been. So another way to find an alternative potentially, rather than just doing a Google search like I did for 45 minutes and just looking at the problem, is to reverse engineer the whole thing and announce that you're putting this contract out for bid. That anyone who wants to potentially connect to the Substack API and process payments for Substack creators, hey, let's talk about it. Let's bid on it. Let's have you kind of show us what you got, tell us how much you charge, and if we can plug in and offer that as a choice, we would be happy to do so. Right?
Right.
So that's reversing it. And then Michael Ginsburg says that it's time to bring the entire payment processing operation in-house. All right? That you guys are getting big enough at this point. You've got enough creators. You've promised enough. You cannot put this at risk to a third-party company. And I kind of agree with him too, but I know for a fact that it's a beast. And you've got all kinds of financial regulations, and they don't want to deal with processing the money. They want to outsource that so they can focus on making a better platform. I get that. But you got to take care of your creators, and they're not doing it. So clearly there are alternatives out there, and that only required just 45 minutes of research to find those couple. But I also wanted to look into a little bit deeper. Why is this happening now? So I'm going to speculate, but we covered the censorship industrial complex quite a bit. And there was an update on that this week. We're going to probably cover next week. But we just saw through Matt Taibbi's articles published to Racket News just at the end of May that the same academics who were effective in pushing Twitter to censor creators that they deemed to be foreign influence, quote unquote, based on flimsy or no evidence, all right, are at it again for the 2024 cycle, looking to do it bigger and better than before, quote unquote. Most of the people who are having issues are those that challenge and question the mainstream narrative on those things like COVID, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, Taiwan, China, and plenty of other things, right? So that tells me that, what's happened? Why is this happening? Well, censorship ramping up. People are getting squeezed. Is somebody at the payment processor saying to mess with these specific? I don't know. Is somebody reporting these people? I don't know. But it's also an election year, so C number one, right? But I thought that this was a big thing, and a lot of people kind of forgot about it. But back in December, we covered an article. We covered not just an article, but a series of articles, an entire uproar that was happening on that platform itself that was driven by the Atlantic magazine. And one of the people who has a Substack but has since left did one of the, remember, you know how people like leave Twitter in a huff? I'm leaving and I'm in bed and you guys are platforming Nazis and dead of a bed. And that was basically what he did. But not only that, I challenge the owners of Substack to make changes to your platform or we're leaving. And they basically
Fuck
gave
this shit, I'm out.
Yeah, oh, that's a good one. But yes, that's effectively what they did. And they ended up having to move. All right. They ended up having to leave Substack for the most part. I mean, they're still there to annoy people and to lurk and to spy on everybody. But look, this guy works for the fucking Atlantic magazine. That's Lauren Jobs. That's as neo-lib as it gets. Fuck those guys. Fuck you. Right? So this became like an entire movement of shit libs that showed up and were trying to scream at Substack to make changes to the platform. Yeah, no. So, but here's what happened. They didn't really go away. They just chipped away at the biggest vulnerability they saw, which is Stripe. That group's ultimate goal is to diminish Stripe's increasing footprint in the publishing space. Like I said, Jonathan Katz, one of the principals of that movement, published multiple hit pieces in The Atlantic, smearing the platform and ridiculously claiming that it had a Nazi problem. That was quickly debunked, and they left after a censor or else demand was not acquiesced to. In hindsight, it appears to have been a corporate-funded and corporate media-driven effort to diminish Substack's growing power coming directly at the expense of corporate media. I mean, we're taking readers directly away from them, right? Every day. Yep. And it's flipping them out, especially the Atlantic magazine. I mean, they've been like, king of the shitlib world forever at this point. So these people, the Substackers against Nazis, there was this woman named Marissa Cabas, this guy from Garbage Day. There was about a half a dozen of them who then picked up their ball and left. Mm-hmm. Care Bear. So they wanted to punish Stripe for ignoring their demand to censor the creators that they didn't like, forcing their hand to have to for the inconvenience of moving their newsletters and subscribers. So they sought and found a backdoor. And this is not the chicka chicka bow wow. I was literally just saying, like, literally, I'm out the back door. All right, but
sorry, children.
Thank you. They knew that Stripe was the exclusive processor for Substack's monetization, but also for locals and Buy Me a Coffee. So they started reporting creators to Stripe quietly, whom they deemed to be not worthy of monetizing, charging them with violating Stripe's TOS. And that likely are the creators, that Katz thought were Nazis. But it very quickly devolved into, well, these people are anti-trans, and these people are platforming this and that, and it became like a censorship realm. They were all begging for it about multiple things, and it was like, these people are injuring me, you have to ban them. No, it immediately devolved. It was like within weeks, and we called it that was what they were trying to do, that it didn't just stop at the 16 or 26 or whatever accounts this guy deemed to have Nazi content that he claimed that Substack was profiting from, as if they built their entire structure to profit from those dozens of, and we cover this extensively. So, but I honestly believe that these people either created a bot to report these creators or they did it themselves, because there weren't that many of them. But beyond that, I got more. The people reporting them to Stripe for TOS violations knew that they personally wouldn't be affected, since any move Substack made, all right, or that Stripe made, because those creators had already moved to other platforms like Beehive, Now, this is another part of the thing. I think that part of this was whoever is involved with Beehive, their model is that they pay creators, especially large ones, for bringing your audience over and then referring them to other Beehive newsletters. Now, we don't get paid at Substack for referring other newsletters. It's just like a community thing. But these guys are literally monetizing their database and their subscriber list to refer them to other, newsletters that they may like or not like. And anyone who signs up, that original creator gets paid. We don't get paid for referring stuff. And I just think that's kind of dirty. Was that another reason that was behind this? We were already going to move, and this is another way to take more people out at Substack. I don't know. This was episode 103. We recorded it back in December. If you want to watch, it was a fascinating episode. I went through a bunch of people's notes about it. I went through a couple of articles, through the petition itself, through a counter petition. There was an entire thing that went back and forth for like a month.
Counter petition.
So I talked about how Stripe was screwing over all these creators. So I'm sitting at the Due Dissidence live show on last Sunday afternoon. By the way, that's why we didn't do a show last Sunday. But last Sunday afternoon, we're sitting at Due Dissidence live. I'm watching Jesse do a rehearsal, and I get a DM from the Last American Vagabond saying that, hey, yes, those guys. I don't know if they're still live, but they were live earlier. I know. Shout out to those guys, but they did a really good show, and I appreciate them giving Jesse the platform. I ended up filming, and I was the camera guy. That's a whole other story. You can watch me tell the story on with Tara, or this week I was Tara's guest, or with Hardlands. I told it a little bit there too, but Stripe reinstates the Last American Vagabond. So I get a message from Ryan at the Last American Vagabond. Hey, I don't know if your article had anything to do with it. It may have put us over the top, but I just got an email from Stripe saying they've rescinded the block and the cancellation, and I'll be able to monetize going forward. I was like, fuck yes, dudes, that's great. So awesome. Okay, great. So that was what happened. Fantastic news. Like I said, we found out yesterday morning that Stripe has reversed their decision to terminate TLAV's account, and they'll be allowed to continue in good standing. As you should. Tribute to our friend Kit. So I wanted to personally say thank you to everyone who shared and made noise. I wrote a follow-up article about this the morning after the Jesse show. That was last Monday. Thank you to everyone who shared and made noise about the prior article published here about what happened to TLAV and about the danger of Stripe's monopoly over Substack and the other content creation sites. Now, I didn't include it here. Well, I'm not going to show it here, but go to this article and it'll be in the description afterwards. But watch the above 10.5-minute video clipped from that TLAV stream on Sunday. He was really not, very.
Who are these people?
Oh, yay! We got it. We got a donation. Yay. Awesome! Yay! Thank you. But
thank you.
I'll put that up afterwards. But we found out that. I want to say thank you to everyone who shared and made noise about this article. I was so excited to hear about this, and he did a little segment in his stream. By the way, TLAV does a stream just about every day of the week. He does a daily wrap up, and sometimes it can go for hours. He goes really deep into a lot of topics that are very controversial, and he seems to be way ahead of everybody else. Sometimes he's wrong. Most of the time he's not. And I really appreciate him putting himself out there on a limb and taking a shot each time. And again, usually he's right. Now, to me, there are not very many places that Whitney Webb chooses to publish, and choosing to publish a TLAV means a lot to me. So when I saw this was happening to Ryan, for Whitney alone, not only for all the other reasons, but for the fact that he's been so good to Whitney, there was no doubt that I was going to step up and help him, whether he asked me or not. And he never really did. This was not something that, other than the public call to say, hey, can you help? Ryan never asked me to write an article. Ryan never gave me any of that stuff. And to his credit, I don't blame him for, or fault him for that. I wouldn't blame him for not asking anyone. He was going to deal with it however he was going to deal with it. But I saw this as a community thing. This affects us all, not just Ryan. This could be me. This could be Hardlands. This could be RBN. This could be any one of us. We all say shit that pushes the envelope. And I hate to see that happen. And I'm on a platform that uses this exclusively. I've been watching this happen. I've seen it happen to other people. I'm like, look, if anyone's going to say something, I guess it's going to have to be me. But this is what's really interesting is that Ryan also during his stream identified that Substack made a change again to their terms of service, effective early June, that would exempt his channel and others as content creators by further clearly defining what a content creator is, but then opens up further questions about crowdfunding sites that Stripe has no affiliation with, because they only really want to allow you to monetize with Stripe, with sites that Stripe has approved, apparently. All right. But they also have other loopholes that would allow them to still terminate a content creator's account. And they added a lot of language defining what they determine to be a content creator. Is that a good thing? I'm not sure. Did this language appear because of what we're doing here? I don't know. I hope so. My feeling is that they've been doing this since April. So at first they put out a broad general thing. Then they see what happens. A couple of people cry. Then they put out a tweak to it. Then T-Lab gets caught in that net. Then we start making noise. I tag the CEO. I tag the people at Substack. And somebody says something to somebody along the way there. Again, it's a collective effort. Ryan also went on, he goes on AM Wake Up every week. He's on T-Lev Tuesday. He was talking about it with Steve Poikin this past Tuesday as well. And Steve and Ryan also gave me a nice shout out. I was in chat there putting it up. Like, I couldn't believe it. And again, this was about all of us. This was not just about me. This was not about Ryan. This was about making sure that Stripe is not messing around with creators and that we're going to fight back together. And that, kumbaya, my lord. Okay. We have an updated slide. Yay. Because people have been fucking hooking it up. And yes, we got another one just now. And thank you. We're going to go to that in a second. But this one, actually, let's see. Can I find it? Can I find it? There it is. It's from Care Bear. Happy Dad's Day to Indy and Big Dave. Nice. Thank you, Care Bear. Love you, brother. Yep. Nice. That goes into the Jesse fund. And also, Jesse is daddy. Did I see a Jesse is the daddy? Can I get a Jesse is the daddy in chat from Care Bear? So yes, we have an updated list. This entire right-hand column is our new donors, including our friend Natalie Williams, who picked up an annual sub to Indie Media today, and I'm so grateful for that. Thank you. Our friend Sarah, Baser or Base Maternal Rage, depending on which platform you're on. She's there. Fred Edward had just helped us get over the hump. Last Wednesday, or a week and a half ago Wednesday, we reached Jesse's first goal of the $1,000 for his new laptop. And we're so happy. That happened just before he went to New York City. Damn, I didn't bring up any of the footage or anything. I do have a first thing. But anyway, Jesse brought his new guitar. It was great. But yeah, this is all because of you. This is it. We're crowdfunded. You know, Reef does a much better job.
Great success.
Well, I wouldn't say that either yet, but we appreciate that. We're also, by the way, on our way to 2,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. Most people are watching right now on YouTube, but if you're not, go and subscribe, youtube.com/Indie News Network, and get us to 2,000. We're like at 1992 or 1993. Set up a second account and help get us there. If you have an alt, sign up for it there too. Turn off the alerts if you need to, whatever. Kathy. We got another donation. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, they happened at like the same time.
Oh, did they now? Oh.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
see.
We gotta who are these people?
Oh, holy moly.
That's what we got.
Holy moly, it's $50. Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Kathy. Wow, holy mackerel. Oh, yeah, wow. Oh, Angel says we're at We're at Prince's 1999. Last we checked. INN member Angel. Now, Colin says that we're 9 away, and we were in 1991. A nice little palindrome there. But yes, by the way, those links I updated that there. I took away the Substack link because not many people signed up there at INN Stack. So now it's paypal.me/Indie News Network if you want to donate right on PayPal, or you can always use that Ko-fi link the way that Kathy and that Colin did. So our next boy is the story that nobody seems to give a shit about. Unfortunately, I do. And we're going to start by saying that right now. All right?
I mean, he doesn't really, but...
I care. Hey, look at that. Oh, check that out. We got the sliding down Ko-fi thing, and maybe the Kathy one will show up too. Like the little...
Yep.
Woohoo! All right, so I got to fix this now for 1 second. Whoop. And we're going to go here, because this is a Twitter one. All right. I could not believe this shit right here. All right, as to do a Cat Williams. This shit right here. Holy moly!
Never again.
That was really bad. That was really bad.
No, it's
June 4th, the day that I publish my Stripe article. This comes across my fucking timeline, and I'm just like, oh my god! And not only that, to a mass celebration and cheers. Okay. Breaking news. Amazon labor union formally affiliates with Teamsters?
Oh. Maybe somebody could have called that. Please go here. I'm going to put it in chat for people. That's what I'm going to do.
Did anyone...
We talked about this a long time ago.
Did anyone see my conversation with the Amazon labor leaders who were kicked off of the executive board by Chris Smalls and the people who were still left? They had a lot to say about Mr. Smalls. Yeah, you did, and you shouldn't. And we'll have to put that in some kind of link. That. How dare you? Not only that, we had fire clips from that too. We had 5 amazing people who had worked for Amazon Labor Union, or had worked for Amazon for JFK 8, which is the Staten Island warehouse here. So the Teamsters announced on June 4th, breaking news, the Amazon Labor Union has formally affiliated with the 1.3 million member strong Teamsters Union. The affiliation was announced by Teamsters General President Sean M. O'Brien during the union's General Executive Board meeting today in Washington, D.C. Okay. The Teamsters board unanimously approved the affiliation. Of course they did. This story is developing. Stay tuned for more details.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So, let's go to the outgoing. Let's not forget that this man is an outgoing president of Amazon Labor Union, where new elections have already been called for and will be happening by the end of July. So this guy will be out within 6 weeks, 8 weeks of this announcement. Today is a historical day for labor in America as we now combine forces with one of the most powerful unions to take on Amazon together. Our message is clear. We want a contract and we want it now. We're putting Amazon on notice that we're coming. Hashtag for the 3rd year in a row, hot labor summer.
Oh.
I don't know if I'm guessing Reef, is that our episode from, like, how do we miss that? Like episode 2 or 3? Okay, that was from your... That was from INN News.
INN News from a long time ago, literally a year ago.
Yeah, we did one also where they were taking on... They had a plan, a multi-year plan to take on Amazon. Now, remember, Amazon Labor Union represents JFK 8 only. One facility nationwide. All right? He's celebrating, spiking the football. First of all, it's not a historical day, Chris. It's a historic day. Happy Father's Day, by the way. He's a father of twins, as am I. And I got to acknowledge that he's a human being. But at the same time, are you fucking kidding me?
Are you sure those aren't lizard kids? He might be a lizard person.
Are
Have
you
thought
fucking
about this?
kidding me? All right, is all I could say when I saw this. All right, now he had to preempt this motherfucker before people start listening to nonsense coming from people that literally had nothing to do with anything. Both unions will vote ratify. This agreement was negotiated by current leadership from both sides. Yeah, the leadership that kicked off most of the leadership at your side, asshole, which started weeks ago. Yeah, but you didn't tell anybody. You weren't transparent, and you didn't tell your fucking rank and file the entire time, did you? No, I can tell you because Michelle, who is running for president to replace Chris Smalls, said to the Teamsters, "You have no right to post this. Full inclusion of the rank and file and ratification should have been formalized before posting this, Teamsters. What the fuck are you doing?" They're trying to get the story out, and they're trying to shape the narrative. Now it doesn't matter. Everybody believes that ALU is now part of the Teamsters, whether they are or they aren't. It was a PR job. This really pisses me off because this is the total smokescreen. This guy's leaving. Yeah. He should shut the fuck up and put this to his membership. I said,
you never know. He might get a new cushy job somewhere. You know,
my take number one. On top of that, I pile on to what Michelle says. I said the Teamsters obviously don't care about actual union members. Sean O'Brien, that at Teamster SOB is Sean O'Brien. He's the president of the Teamsters, made a deal with an outgoing union head and stuck the next admin to deal with all this nonsense. Great job to separate Amazon labor from big labor that fillets the corporate duopoly. Good job. I heard that Sean O'Brien was endorsing Trump. Awesome. That was a fucking brilliant move, Chris. All right. Yep. Now, here's my next question. Luis Feliz Leon from Labor Notes publishes, Scoop, rank and file Amazon workers still have to ratify the agreement Chris Smalls, president of the ALU, and Sean O'Brien, president of the Teamsters, signed to affiliate the ALU with the IBT. Union leadership elections will be held as planned. Agreement below. My question is, why is this being announced by an outgoing union head? This seems like an attempt to derail a new leadership from effectively taking power. And here's the biggest question. Will Smalls get a job with the Teamsters now, maybe as the lead representative for JFK 8? New elections are happening at JFK 8 now. This is a scam. Don't fall for this, please. And of course, everybody did.
Yep.
Nicole, who was one of the people who we interviewed with Chermo and Ron and Michelle. I think there was another one too. I can't remember. Maybe there were only 4 of them. Amazing people. We had such a great conversation. I need to have them back on, see how things are going. Nicole says, same old smoke and mirrors, while ALU members in this New York non-right-to-work state have no choice. Lives have been ruined because of the ALU leaders' corrupt incompetence. This agreement is worth the read, and I encourage everyone to read it. Again, it will be in the description after we're done. Care Bear! Care Bear, I know. Care Bear is as triggered by this whole thing as I am. And yes, are you fucking kidding me? Probably should go on the soundboard at this point.
He asked in the chat, wasn't Smalls supposed to have a general strike against Biden this year?
That's what I was looking for.
Remember that.
To put that up. Yep, 2024. I remember him saying that 2 years ago. That was in our article criticizing Chris Smalls. Way back work.
Yep.
Way back when. Okay.
Running out of time, Chris.
Yep. 2024 is almost here. All right. So, all right. Oh, they canceled that. This is a bad year to do that, as it could hurt Biden's reelection chances. Right. Smalls has to wait until he has leverage. Then he'll strike. Right. Now they're talking May Day 2028. Because remember, that's what the UAW aligned their contract and encouraged everyone to schedule the end of their contract to coincide with that, so we can have general strike at, with all the stuff happening at the same time. Yes, Cynic, Smalls is full of large shite. That is my take as well. So now on top of that, here is the link underneath Colin's thing. And what this was Smalls had gone to Colombia, all right, and had spoken out. And what Colin said was that workers at JFK 8 do not necessarily think of Smalls as a great leader. Perhaps you should listen to their stories before you tweet any opinions about this guy. All right. And I said, here you go. And here's the information. All right. And Ophelia Mom, who was a friend of mine on Twitter for a long time, she says, wow, I hate to hear it, but not surprised. A wise man once said, one can't have fame and fortune without sacrificing some truth and justice. Sad that it's proven true too often these days. All right. And I said, we saw it coming and we tried to help. How many times? It's nice for us that he's there because we support it, but he may also represent people who do not support this rally. Okay. That was the very famous Columbia sit-in, all right, that we covered, where they were starting to form the tents that then erupted into all the colleges around the city. This was the very first one, and he showed up there very early on with, by the way, I think it was AOC the same day, right?
Yep.
All right. I said union leaders should be advocating for their workers and not getting involved in political fights. That's Teamsters and UAW. All right. Mm-hmm. And then, by the way, here's the article that we co-wrote at INN back in September of 2022. All right. 6 months after the members voted to unionize. All right. The video for this thumbnail is at the bottom of the article. It took us over a month to collectively write it. I mean, we put a ton of time and research and receipts into this, and still nobody's written anything quite like it as far as I know. All right. This was
receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, everything.
All right, this was Joe's video. How many revisions did we make of this? Colin helped us kind of go through, and I have like a bunch of different versions of this.
Words can't describe this feeling, though. We put in our blood, sweat, and tears. That memo that came out, calling me not smart or articulate. Ironically, they also said to make me the face of the whole unionizing efforts, which I had no intention at the time.
That's the problem. You let an entire movement hinge on one person. It's time to wake up. Come on, get up.
When we reached out initially to David, he didn't want to do the show.
He did, yes.
So you're telling me you're a union leader. When the fuck do you see union leaders on mainstream media?
Never.
Do you think his fucking phone is ringing off the hook a month ago, 3 months ago, last fucking year?
Robert has a pretty big title. Sometimes he goes first. But we're starting with you, Christian. Thanks for being here today.
He's the lead Amazon protest organizer joining us from New Jersey there. Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate your time.
Here in New York, in an historic victory for labor rights.
It's the man himself, Christian Smalls, president of the victorious Amazon
Joe's
labor union.
Such a good editor. I miss him.
Pleasure in this victory, right?
Well, I certainly am rooting for you. I mean, maybe if they throw some more woke slogans at you, you'll forget you can't feed your family.
Right.
Chris, I appreciate your coming on. Thank you very much.
The biggest victory in the modern American labor movement.
And it was a battle that was fought tooth and nail.
The union victory at Amazon warehouse in Staten Island is by far the biggest beat the odds David versus Goliath unionization win I've seen. And he covered labor for decades for the New York Times. That would make you the proverbial David. How did you do it?
First union at Amazon. You went to war with Goliath.
With Bezos. This is not just David and Goliath. I mean, this is David and Goliath squared.
He really represents a modern day David and Goliath story that I think inspires a lot of people.
People are calling this a David versus Goliath type of story.
Goliath, Christian, was not actually technically a billionaire. Although he was large. He was in good fighting shape. But based on my knowledge of the story, well, such as it is.
And this is David versus Goliath, and I can tell you now, we all got to be David.
We want to thank Jeff Bezos for going to space, because when he was up there, we were signing people up.
You thanked him for flying in his penis-shaped rocket.
So I just tell the truth, and he need to know that. He thanked us when he came back. We paid for that trip. So, in this case, we wanted to remind him that you keep going to space, we want to continue to unionize.
You are now a national figure in this new labor movement.
That's the problem. You let an entire movement hinge on one person, and they cut the fucking head off of your movement.
We have unity of action. We lack unity of thought. But our unity of action, it shocks us. In 1965, the African and whites revolted. Revolted. They shocked America. Shocked themselves. We did that.
What's your approach from here? To what degree do you think you can cooperate more with Amazon leadership, or to what degree do you think that's wise?
This is almost an open letter to Christian. If you're out there listening, if anyone sends this to you, right, just keep in mind who has been supporting you.
It's time to wake up. Come on, get up.
Let's make sure he sees this and hears this. You know, don't sell out. Don't forget about the people behind you, the people who amplified you.
And now they're controlling the narrative on you, which they put AOC out and Bernie out.
She's doing an extraordinary job. Please welcome Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
He had
So
everything.
Screw this ish. I am not voting for any of you fools in November.
We've got their back. We've got their back.
Oh my God.
You should have never invited Bernie Sanders and AOC because it's not going to elevate it. You let them know, like, hey, you turned our back on us. You don't come with us. What kind of message do you think that would have sent to the other Congress people out there had you done that? Instead, you will open arms to these people. Oh, this ain't about Republican or Democrat, but let these progressives come on in. And now let's hype up the progressives. Just because you say this isn't about Republican or Democrat doesn't mean it's so if the actions don't back it up. And at the end of the day, what did we get?
What do you think every Republican gets to do now? They get to fight you, right? You appear as an adversary now to right-wingers. At Shutdown Amazon is now either co-opted or has explaining to do. In less than 1 month, he showed up to GQ, Teen Vogue, shaking at POTUS's hands.
I mean, for me, seeing the warm welcome from Joe Biden and stuff.
Good trouble, man.
Good trouble.
Good trouble. You're my kind of trouble. Congratulations, man.
Right now, it just looks like Biden and company are treating him like a puppy, basically, like a cute little puppy. Whereas, Chris should be coming in like a pit bull in the sense of they should be fearful of him.
I got a little trouble by it. You may recall.
Yeah, they were really fearful.
And I'm looking forward to them being organized. Yeah, well, you got it done in one place. Yeah, let's not stop. That's right.
Just met the president. LOL. He said I got him in trouble.
Good.
Okay, so
I mean,
just
does he
want
really
your take
believe
on
that
this,
shit?
fam.
Does he really believe that?
But, fam, what ended up happening is that Biden actually approved a huge federal contracts for Amazon anyway, to the point where Jacobin had to write about it.
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
Seriously? What the fuck? You are such a fucking asshole who doesn't care about the people.
I mean, this whole thing stinks to
She
high
was
heaven.
not saying
I mean,
that
I'm
about
glad you
Chris,
got in
by
there
the
and you
way.
fought and you did something. But what do we get? What do we get? We haven't gotten anything yet. We don't know. Use your power correctly. And don't forget that this guy that you're going to shake his hands, he's the one who created all the conditions in which we're swimming in right now.
It's go time. Come on. Don't let your movement hinge on one person. It doesn't work. FDR did the same fucking thing. History lesson. Go read your fucking history books. What did FDR do? He took the socialists. He took the communists. He talked the talk. He gave them the New Deal. He gave them the federal jobs program. And then he cut the fucking heads off of their movement. And he absorbed their leaders. And he crushed their movements for 100 years. You got nothing since. Nothing. All the wealth going to the top 1%. And you got shit. Even during the pandemic, what did they give you? Fucking scraps, crumbs of $1,200. That's how much they respect you. And then Bernie Sanders is like, Joe Biden is a friend of mine.
Like, how do you not see those optics?
Wake up, asshole.
Oh, I love that guy so goddamn much. Holy shit. He's so good. He's just as good as it gets. All right, let's turn off the slideshow now and let's go back here. Good. All right.
You got no friends in Washington, D.C. Your enemy is laughing at you.
Yes, he is. So, like I explained, we did not want to do any of this stuff. But man, it feels good to be a gangster because we were right in every way. We didn't want to write it. We didn't see anyone else covering it that way. What we've been seeing since has been less than stellar, to say the least. Him being in New York City appears to be a good thing, but he represents thousands and should be advocating for them, not politics. And that was my last take on our friend Chris Smalls, who would probably want to not be so happy with me, I would guess. But hey, man, I got to call it like I see it and be fair. And, talking to the people that you claim to represent, though you haven't worked at that facility in 4+ years, let's call that for what it is. You got fired. You never went back.
Hey, he did do a fundraiser with Gucci. So, he's got that going for him,
Right. And he went to Cuba. Yes, I know, Cynic. He did go to Cuba. He went to Cuba.
Nice
he went to Germany. He went to England and he fought with the people who were trying to unionize over there. He went to California. He spoke all over the country. He went to Toronto very famously also. I got a Chris Smalls file when he says he's traveling. I just drop a tweet in there, and it's remarkable where he's managed to go. He's a world traveler. But I spoke with these Amazon workers who are still working at JFK8 that don't feel like they're being represented and are upset. And now they have to deal with the propagandization once again of the Teamsters. Wow, the Teamsters want to be involved with us. We must have done something really good to organize and get their attention to have them want to support us and work with us. Wow.
So the Teamsters have never been a tool of control by anyone. It's never...
Remarkably enough, Colin, Chris Smalls has never blocked me. Now, he's blocked INN. I know he blocked you. He's blocked most of the people at the network. But he's never blocked me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because he knows. I don't know. I've always been fair. I've been respectful. I've been angry, but I've always been fair, and I've always brought receipts. So he could block me if he wanted. He could call me racist, and he could call me whatever he wanted to. But I got fucking mountains of receipts. All right. He's never once challenged that, or come back to challenge that article whatsoever, or any of the substance, including what Colin wrote, okay, about his hoop dreams, all right, and the stuff about Zendaya. I didn't even write that part of it, all right. Again, that was a collective article that took us weeks to write, and Joe, MVP, putting that video together, but he didn't just put that one together. There's another video in the article also. It was so substantive, all right. It talked in depth about why he shouldn't have gone to DC, and how badly he sold out, and how he had aligned himself with the American Federation of Teachers and the Netroots Nation and the entire Democratic Party union apparatus. Thank you, Cynic. To the point where our friend Jesse Jett, God bless him, I love him to death. All right, shout out Happy Father's Day to Jesse. Wrote a spoken word piece called Union Drip. All right, that talked all about not just Chris, but what they do to people, young labor leaders who are leaders of movements. All right. So, again, this happened, 12 days ago. Have you seen any show talk about it?
Zero
coverage.
Zero.
And any coverage that you saw was fawning. Oh my God, look at how great these guys did. This is terrific. No criticism, no skepticism, no questioning, knowing that these guys fucking align with big corporate, definitely with big politics. Nope. It fucking stuns me, angers me. And look, we've had other creators tell us that labor is not sexy. It's not sexy. Okay.
No.
All right. So they don't want to cover it because people don't really want to hear about it, but it's important. Look, Himbo and I did a show.
Shame.
Yes. Thank you.
Shame.
Yeah. So Himbo and I did a show last year called Nobody Wants to Work Anymore, about the difficulties of looking for a job and how fucky the job market is. And and part of it was about unionization. And we talked about the UAW strike, and we talked about the writers and actors strikes. And we got their perspectives on this whole thing and how it was being negotiated by leadership. Now, my big criticism here is ALU was supposed to be an independent union. You got 2 years and you don't have a first contract. All right.
Mm-mm.
And that's what they've been arguing with Chris Smalls is we're going to help you get a first contract. But you're about to have new elections. You're not going to at least give the new leadership a chance to get a first contract? Nope. Like, no, they did not want to give anybody else the chance to get that home that Chris was not going to be involved with or handpicked. Because now, when the Teamsters do it, Chris can claim victory.
Ooh, sweet victory, yeah.
And you know what? I'd love to claim victory for them, and I don't give a shit. Look, I don't care about giving out credit per se, but, dude, you just fucked over your entire union membership. I hate to tell you. Ask any Teamster for UPS that's a part-timer. Ask any warehouse member. Ask any fucking warehouse member for UPS. Ask any, God, how many other Teamsters, any Teamster that worked for, what was the other one where they went on strike 2 years ago? I think it was Mack Trucks. I don't know if that was UAW or the Teamsters, but there was definitely at least one other Teamster strike. No, it was John Deere. Teamsters and John Deere. 2 years ago, we covered this on How Do We Miss That? Yeah, we've been doing this a fucking... Well, we covered that about 2 years ago. Anybody know who that was? Anyone? Anyone? Holland is now the union rep. Is now the union rep at his school, and he hates it.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Cookie says that labor is indeed sexy. I will disagree with you. It's sexy to corporate scumbags who love abusing labor and extracting wealth. Right. It's just not sexy to news people and to people who watch on stream.
Labor unions are reformist in nature.
Yeah. Own the means of production.
Where it starts. Yes, where it starts.
All right. So,
but it's just me.
I got one more mini story, and then we'll get to some quick hits. But mini story is Assange. So we find out, let's fucking go. WikiLeaks announces, and they found out from the High Court, Julian Assange's US extradition appeal will be heard at the UK High Court on July 9th and 10th. Detained for
10
over...
more years, Julian.
I hope not. My God. Detained for over 13 years already. It's already been 13. The publisher faces a 175-year sentence if extradited for journalism. Now, again, there are few channels, I would say Richard Medhurst, who we featured in that last thing, among them, but not very many channels that have done quite the amount of Assange coverage that we have. Thankfully, thanks in part to Misty Winston. Love you, Misty. We had literally an A for A stream that was a vigil that Misty and Sleepy Josh were hosting at 8 o'clock tonight on our Rumble and all our other channels that weren't YouTube. I don't know. You can go back and catch that.
I love you, bitch.
Yeah. It wasn't on Bitch, I don't believe. I think it was just on A for A, but it was on INN's Rumble, INN's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. So you can watch it everywhere over there.
That's right, bitches.
Right? So filthy. I love that's such a great little back and forth. I love that one. But so thank you, Jimmy and Steph. But Consortium News, of course, Indie Media Award honoree will be there. All right. And we got an article published by Joe Loria. The judges in Julian's 2-day appeal hearing on July 9th and 10th are the same who granted him a rare victory last month. His right to appeal the Home Office's extradition order to the United States. So I don't know if this is good news or bad news or neutral news. It's news. It's information.
Or chaotic evil news, or
Justices Jeremy Johnson and Victoria Sharp granted Assange the right to appeal on only 2 of 9 requested grounds, but they are significant. Number one is that his extradition was incompatible. Lawful good.
What?
Well, if we can manipulate it to work for us, lawful whatever. But
lawful neutral.
But number one, that his extradition was incompatible with his free speech rights enshrined in the European Convention on Human Rights, meaning that he would not be guaranteed First Amendment rights when he comes here, if he comes here. And number two, most importantly, actually, that first one was also the death penalty, and I don't see the death penalty there. But number two is that he might be prejudiced because of his nationality not being given First Amendment protection as a non-American. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's an Australian citizen who never set foot in America during the entire time, but yet he's going to stand trial for life in America. Okay, anyway. The denial of his rights in an American courtroom would go beyond the First Amendment to all of his U.S. constitutional rights, according to the 2020 U.S. Supreme Court ruling in USAID versus the Alliance for Open Society International, Inc., which says
that doesn't sound evil as shit. Whatever that fucking organization was.
Open Society is
I know
it's the Soros organization.
Yeah.
USAID suing Soros. Nice. All right.
Okay.
Says that a non-U.S. citizen acting outside the U.S. has no constitutional protections at all. Yet the U.S. has the right to extradite them and to bring them here and charge them with a crime committed in the United States that they were never in? Wait, what? The U.S. was unable to provide assurances that the European equivalent of his constitutional rights would be protected, required under British extradition law, which means that they're going to ignore their own law. That raises hopes for Assange in his appeal. Now, again, I don't see the whole death penalty thing, which to me also is just as important, because the UK has a law that says that if there is the possibility that you might be sentenced to death by their extradition, they can't extradite you and have to let you go.
They'll ignore that. It'll be fine.
We know that.
You know.
We know that. By the way, hit a unity for Anna Mares, because she says, I'm hearing Richie say unity.
I'll find it.
Thank you. So Assange, of course, has been imprisoned, we know, in London's, thank you, in London's notorious Belmarsh prison for more than 5 years on remand, pending the outcome of his extradition. He has been charged in the United States for publishing classified documents that revealed prima facie evidence of U.S. state crimes, which also would negate whatever criminal charges there should be, because exposing crime is not a crime. Consortium News has received an award and many accolades for their coverage of the Julian Assange case. Hey, maybe that's the Indie Media Award. Maybe not. I know they got a Julian Assange award. Yeah, how about that? We will be inside the courtroom and outside the Royal Courts of Justice in London for both days of the hearing, bringing you the latest news, analysis, and commentary. Joe will be flying over from DC, and Kathy Vogan will be flying over from Australia. So, donate to their fund drive. Okay. Joe is the editor-in-chief. Oh, I had another labor story. That's right. I forgot. I knew I had another story. Shit. Because I need to go back to the slideshow. And I didn't yet.
Oh.
But.
Because you're a weirdo.
Yeah. Well, I started with one.
Weirdo.
Thanks. I wanted to show. Yeah, down here, this is the award they won. By the way, Consortium is one of the few outlets on their website that lists the Indie Media Award plaque. But this is, I believe, the award that they're receiving, that they're mentioning, and it's a gorgeous glass trophy that looks like an open book. The Julian Assange Award for steadfast coverage of the Assange case, Consortium News 2023. This was from some Dutch newspaper. Gorgeous. Jealous. It's beautiful. Gorgeous.
Dutch, you say?
The Dutch.
Weird.
Right? And before we get to our next hot labor story, okay, because this is a hot story.
You crazy Dutch bastard.
Yeah, those guys. All right. Again, let's put up the thank you to all of our supporters and subscribers, past and current. But we've got a bunch of new ones, and I'm so thankful. I got to give a big shout out to Yeti Jesus. INN member, but holy shit, you want to talk about a guy who stepped up to help Jesse Jet. I know I don't want to embarrass him, but wow, I love him to death, and we really love you and appreciate you. We're excited for whatever show we're gonna see out of you coming up soon. I can't wait.
Lord Nelson's trousers, it's a Yeti.
That guy, I know that you've been working on some creative with him for a while. I don't know if it's the bread lines, the Yeti lines, what we're gonna do with it, or it's just gonna be Yeti Jesus show or what. We got some ideas. But look for that coming up soon. He was co-host last week on Politically Homeless with Snow Himbo. He filled in for Crab when Crab went to go see Due Dissidence live in the Bronx when Jimmy Dore was there. That was a fundraiser event for Jose Vega. But here's the next. Holy shit. World Socialist website, who, by the way, is under attack. They got named on that list of outlets and personalities. It's called the roller coaster, put out by the Ukrainian government
where they are naming
of course.
a network of people. Yeah, including Tara Reid, by the way. Not INN, but Tara Reid got listed. Ron Paul, Jill Stein, the Green Party, Tucker Carlson. There's a ton of people on there. Max Blumenthal and the Gray Zoners, all those guys are on there. So World Socialist website, one of their writers in Ukraine got arrested and is right now being locked up and charged with subversion because he's a socialist. Literally arrested for his politics. Bogdan. So if you go to WSWS, it's at the top of their website right now. I wanted to give that a shout out. Kit Clarenberg talked about it as well. This is a persecution by an ally of the United States against a socialist website that is not doing anything other than questioning the regime. And they also are anti-Putin as much as they are anti-Zelensky. By the way, they're trots. Whatever that means.
Sure.
But they brought this article. Eric London. Eric London actually is the guy who went after Sabby Sabs a while ago. And I'm not a big fan, but he does really good work when it comes to the UAW. He wrote this article about a week ago. UAW monitor investigating Sean Fain and UAW leadership for misuse of funds and hiding documents. All right. We've been pretty critical of union leadership, and we haven't even really called them out on corruption other than their coziness with the Democratic Party or with political parties. But yesterday,
okay,
we're fine. I still can't believe this shit. No,
was that coffee?
No, it wasn't coffee. Yesterday, the federal court-appointed monitor in charge of overseeing the UAW bureaucracy issued a bombshell status report revealing that it's been conducting a growing investigation into ongoing systematic corruption within the administration of UAW President Sean Fain, and that an investigation is underway against Fain personally for misuse of union resources. I'm going to repeat that because that seems vaguely important.
Is it?
Yesterday, the federal court-appointed monitor in charge of overseeing the UAW bureaucracy, let's start there. There's a federal court-appointed monitor in charge of overseeing UAW. Why are they? We're going to talk about that. They issued a bombshell status report. What did that bombshell say? That it's been conducting a growing investigation into ongoing systematic corruption within the administration of Joe Biden's buddy, UAW President Sean Fain, and that an investigation is underway against him personally for misuse of union resources. How about that shit? So, what happened? I was waiting for it. The investigation includes accusations of corruption against Fain and the IEB by two leading members of the bureaucracy, Secretary-Treasurer Margaret Mock and Vice President Rich Boyer. Now, remember, we famously were talking about Rich Boyer in the UAW thing. Mock was sidelined and Boyer relieved of oversight over the union's Stellantis department. All right?
Oh, yeah.
All right? And
I remember that.
And both told the monitor that it was because they refused to authorize the misuse of union resources by Fain and the IEB. Again, this was about the auto workers strike where they did the stand-up strike. But in April, the monitor began investigating another IEB member, a regional director, after receiving allegations of potential embezzlement. I read this. I'm like, oh, I have to bring this. Holy shit. Nor do these appear to be isolated incidents as serious as they would be on their own. The monitor stresses the seriousness of the allegations and the high-level concern that the monitor witnessed throughout the union as a result of them. According to the monitor, the reaction of the bureaucracy to these initial reports has been to, of course, hide the evidence like a good Democrat. quote, the union has
State
not...
Farm is there.
Right? The union has not cooperated in producing documents that are relevant to the investigation in a complete and timely manner, unquote. This has handicapped the Monitor's lawyers' ability to properly question UAW leadership during interviews, forcing them to conduct those interviews without the benefit of the full production of potentially relevant and contemporaneous documents. The Monitor went to great lengths to avoid bringing this information to public light, concerned over the anger that it would generate among rank-and-file auto workers. They tried to stop doing this. You basically left them no fucking choice. The report explains, quote, the Monitor has attempted for months to garner the union's cooperation in gathering the information needed to conduct a full investigation, but the union has effectively slow-rolled the Monitor's access to requested documents. I wonder why. It adds that the Monitor...
Wonder why.
I wonder. It adds that the Monitor has taken a collaborative posture with the UAW from the beginning of the monitorship. That's a problem right there. And that the Monitor even gave a draft of the report to the UAW itself a full month before it went public on Monday. Why? This is the Monitor. Shit, they work for us, not for UAW. According to a footnote, the Monitor sent the report to UAW and its lawyers, quote, on May 10th, 2024, and requested their feedback. Evidently, that feedback was to start guarding the evidence, or worse. The Monitor explains that it has requested 116,000 documents from the UAW leadership in the investigation in the new one, but that UAW has produced a very small portion, or approximately 2,600 documents, and with more than 80% of those documents produced only on June 6th, 4 days before the issuance of this report. They gave them nothing for months. Then at the last minute gave them a fucking taste. And finally the guy was like, all right, what do you want me to do? I got to go public. You call my bluff. So now I got to do this. Elsewhere in the report, it's scorching. The Monitor writes that by early April 2024, the union had produced just 18 documents. The Monitor details its polite attempts to assist in speeding the pace of production, but apparently these evidently all came to no avail. According to the Monitor, the UAW has made three basic arguments to justify its efforts to block the investigation and bar the release of some 115,000 documents. All right, originally, the UAW claimed these documents could not be made public because they were subject to attorney-client privilege, because they were related to the UAW General Counsel's preparation of its response to the Monitor's February 2024 document request. That's bullshit. Because in a footnote, the Monitor explains that it offered the UAW a deal. It would exclude all such documents provided other documents related to potential corruption were handed over. They wouldn't do that either. This offer was rejected, as was the Monitor's attempts to determine what other documents the union contemplates withholding. Yeah, unions are great, guys. Next, they argued that the 120,000 documents were privileged as relating to collective bargaining, which forced the Monitor to remind the court that part of the government's investigation leading up to the consent decree involved allegations of corrupt payments made by Fiat Chrysler to senior union officials in order to undermine collective bargaining. So the whole reason there's a Monitor in the first place is that UAW was caught accepting bribery payments. And they're not turning over emails by a Monitor that was court-appointed, federally appointed, and they're saying, well, it's attorney-client privilege. And so then, according to another footnote, the UAW's lawyers argued that the Monitor's power is limited to charging misconduct, but not extended to investigating suspected misconduct in aid of potential charges, which would make it impossible to ever uncover any wrongdoing. Of course. That's their idea. Right? Next, like I got that one. The UAW monitor, the courts, and the Biden administration's Department of Labor have worked assiduously to protect and revamp the bureaucracy to better control the rank and file. I'm going to repeat that one again because that seems mildly important. Because this is literally like the definition of fascism, meaning the merger of the corporate and the government state. The UAW monitor, the courts, and the Biden administration's Department of Labor have worked assiduously to protect and revamp the UAW bureaucracy to better control the rank and file. Why are they trying to control the rank and file? Mack Trucks auto worker and socialist candidate for UAW President Will Lehman objected throughout the 2022 UAW elections that the votes of rank and file members and retirees were being suppressed by grossly inadequate notice of the election, a refusal by the union to maintain accurate records, and a communication system skewed in favor of the entrenched bureaucracy. When Lehman filed a lawsuit to demand an extended voting schedule and adequate notice for the rank and file in November of 2022, it was opposed by the monitor law firms and denied by the U.S. District Court judge. Why would they do that? Because they're all working together to fuck over big labor. As a result of this deliberate refusal to provide adequate notice, turnout in the first round of voting was only 9%. That's how Shawn Fain got elected, the lowest of any nationwide union election in American history. Both before and after the election, the monitor rejected Lehman's formal complaints of violations of democratic election requirements by the bureaucracy, often after long and unjustified delays. They ran the clock out on people all the time because they know that people are too busy to pay attention for long enough. These motherfuckers. When Lehman appealed the monitor's rejection of his complaints to the Biden administration's Department of Labor, the department delayed a decision until the last possible moment before, of course, rejecting Lehman's concerns on concocted procedural grounds. Lehman then responded, of course, by filing a lawsuit against the Department of Labor, arguing that its decisions were arbitrary and capricious. But of course, that takes forever, and that lawsuit is still pending before Judge Lawson, same guy, was argued and fully briefed as of December 2023. We're just waiting on a ruling. Even though 6 months later, despite that usually taking about 6 weeks, they're still waiting 6 months plus, still haven't ruled. Why? Because fuck you, that's why. They don't have to. Will Lehman says in a statement to World Socialist website, quote, "The revelations about the ongoing corruption within the Fain administration are proof that the bureaucracy cannot be reformed. It must be abolished. We, the rank and file, cannot put our faith in any figure within the bureaucracy, including somebody named Chris Smalls." And of course, that's another union and a whole other story, but the same thing. The bureaucracy is not going to put power back in our hands, nor will the courts, and we will have to take it ourselves. We confront poverty wages, mass firings, including at Stellantis. Which, by the way, that's what happened after they signed the UAW contract with the big three. You saw mass layoffs and dangerous conditions at work. A strike-breaking judge has ordered University of California academic workers to halt their walkout to defend the free speech of protesting students. And on June 6th, a 28-year-old UAW member named Dalton Simmers died when the molten metal fell on him at Caterpillar's foundry in Mapleton, Illinois. The same happened to workers like Stephen Dirks under Ray Curry. Since Fain's installation, things have only gotten worse. Quote, "As for the ongoing investigation, we demand the public release of all the documents mentioned by the Monitor in its investigation. The Monitor says the UAW is illegally prohibiting release of 115,000 documents potentially related to corruption, collaboration with management, and the misuse of dues? We have a right to that information, and there is no reason to keep it from us. The same goes for the over 2,000 documents the monitor says it did receive. That information must be given to the rank and file. The whole court oversight and corporate monitorship of the UAW prove the process to be a total fraud. If there's going to be a change, we're going to have to make it ourselves. Will Lehman, man, he works for Mack Trucks. He's a UAW member. He's a leader. And he gives a shit about what happens there. And these are the people who give a shit about what happens at INN. And we love you for it. Support independent media, like I say all the time, because it's more important than ever. Because where else are you getting that story? Right? Where else are you getting calling out the Teamsters and and ALU aligning? Unfortunately, like I said, not enough people give a crap about that stuff. They need to, because it affects thousands of workers. And you claim that you care about labor. You claim that you care about people. You claim that you care about workers. There's tons of them right there. And you're not doing it. And they need someone to pay attention. And there's too many people not paying attention, but we are. All right. So, hi, everybody. It's 11:35. Good. We've got a little bit of time, and I want to get to some quick hits. There are a couple. There are not many. We do quick hits. No, I need to do something. Oh, it's around the world, right? That's what it's called.
Who are these people?
Who are these people? All right. So, number one, Sunday, I think I said Sunday. And some of you might have been watching Due Dissidence earlier tonight, but last Sunday night, they performed their first ever live show in New York City. And they asked our friend and brother and INN member and host of American Tradition, Jesse Jett, to perform 2 sets. They did 2 shows, a 2 p.m. and a 7 p.m. show. Again, I talked about this quite a bit on Tara's show on Friday, which I'm going to show you the thumbnail for. But I drove Jesse in. He stayed here and hung out with my family, and it was incredible. We had a great time, and my kids love him, and so did the whole family does, and everybody. He did a great job at the show, and I ended up manning their live stream cameras, which a bunch of people here already know about, and appreciate these guys for inviting Jesse and supporting him. Let's give him a like from INN real quick. But yeah, so his first set is there. The second set, I'm not sure if they've published
I'm sorry,
yet.
this is stealing from Keaton.
Yes, David Tell, it does steal from Keaton. But it's actually kind of funny because speaking of stealing from Keaton, Friday night, I included some of the footage that I personally shot on my phone, as well as some of Big Bad Crab's footage. Shout out to Crab for being there as well. And I called the stream Due Decadence. It was Jesse's clip stream. We had a lot of fun with that. And what we ended up doing for each song was it played the set list from the Due Dissidence shows. So first we did the album release so you could hear what it was originally like with the lyrics. Then we played a live version from the show on American Tradition when he played it acoustically. Then, or he read the spoken word. Then we played any footage that I had from our phones for that same song. And we did that over and over and repeated that multiple times. Close the show with Red Pilled.
It's a great American tradition.
Close the show with Red Pilled, which of course is what I close my show with and this show with. And I adore it. And I was so happy that his whole audience, the Due Dissidence audience got exposed to Jesse and got exposed to that specific song, as well as the pull string. Right. So next.
Coffee.
No coffee. I had to cough. Cough, not coffee.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now coffee.
That was coffee.
That was coffee. So I also was invited to join Kit from Hardlands Media to talk about the Stripe article that I read and went through earlier tonight. I really appreciate him having me on. He also said he would like to have Ryan from The Last American Vagabond on. I would love to see that collaboration. You know, Kit has been a tremendous supporter of independent media, as has Ryan. Robert Inkalish, he's got Derek Bros over there. He's got Whitney Webb over there. And he himself is a beast. He is a publishing loon like me. And he goes out to every platform. And he's even on more platforms than INN and than I am. He's impressive as hell. And he covers great stuff. But again, Kit had me on. We talked about the article. He had read through it, but he didn't quite kind of pick up all of it. And I appreciate, again, him letting me talk about it. I know a couple people weren't crazy about the whole thing, but it was a lot of fun for me to go on. And it is important. We need to be talking about Stripe and the monopoly that they have, because otherwise you're just going to keep growing and getting bigger. And if these platforms...
Cheers and salutations. Smoke them if you got them.
That's the guy. And again, the articles to the links to both articles are here in this Substack post. Now,
coming to a Substack newsletter near you.
Finally, for the first time ever, for the first time in forever, and for the first time ever, I got to be the guest on a show that I've been producing for more than 2 years, and same thing with Reef. Okay.
What?
That was a little more than an hour. We went through a lot of different topics, and we talked about INN. We talked about how she first met Jesse, though I think she actually met Jesse way before then, because he made a theme song for her. But before that theme song, he wrote a couple of songs about her, one called Read Between the Lines. And that was way before INN was ever even a thought. So, but other than that, it was a great conversation. I appreciate her having me on and giving the shout outs to INN and talking about the origins of kind of how we figured out producing her show and kind of stepped up when nobody else at the time really was there to help. And thank goodness for INN being there to do that. And Reef and Oz. I never mentioned Oz on that stream, but God almighty, Oz the Boomer, love him so much. And he was also instrumental in figuring out how to make this whole thing work for Torah. And he actually engineered...
I love Oz.
Yeah, we all do. But he actually engineered a couple of those early Torah live streams. There have been over 80 of them at this point, and incredibly proud of the show. And was just honored that she asked me to come on and talk with her. And, you know, she was really nice about, you know, how things that show wouldn't exist if it weren't for me and for INN, and just love her to death. And I did a thing about how we need more women in independent media, and we're working. We at INN have kind of made it a point to try to support and amplify women in independent media. It was a lot of fun. Let me think. Do I have anything else on my list here? I don't think there was anything else. There's an article, and Reef didn't want me to talk about it, but I'm going to mention it, and I'm not even going to give anybody a link to it. But Dennis Kucinich wrote a good article about supporting independent media, and I did want to mention that. And then finally,
don't go read that. Don't go do that.
I made a calendar for the week, which normally I don't make until Friday's live stream to the update, the weekly network update. I usually am working on it all week and publish it Friday, but I figured for the week, so everybody knows what's coming. After this show, we are going to be doing boats smashing into other boats, so stick around on both INN and and the Indie Left channels, or the Indie at INN channels. Tomorrow night, we have a plan. Now, I don't know exactly who's going to show up or what the deal is. INN for Palestine, we're going to do a live roundtable discussion with some INN members, maybe Misty, I don't know. We've been talking about it. I don't know who's going to be committed to it, but we'll figure that out tomorrow, and we'll make the stream. Tuesday, we have American Tradition with Jesse and I, and hoping that the internet holds out like it did tonight, thankfully, so far. Wednesday night, we'll have INN News with Reef and Colin, like we do every Wednesday night, like you do. Oh, is it in Lakesh? I'm sorry. Sorry, Fred. It's Robert Inlakesh. I thought it was Inkalesh, but no, it's Inlakesh. It's Robert. Robert's a killer writer. Palestine is the
great stuff.
He's also got. There's also Asa Winstanley's another one. But like I said, Wednesday night, INN News. Thursday night, Politically Homeless with Crab and Himbo. Himbo was talking to me about potentially looking for a different night and time to put that show on because he doesn't want to be up against other people. And I'm like, man, doesn't matter when you go on, you're going to be up against somebody. I love you. But if you have any ideas about when you'd like to see Politically Homeless, if it's going to move around, certainly let us know.
She's homeless. She's homeless.
Right. And then Friday is, of course, our big day at the network where we do Torah's stream at 2 p.m. These are all Eastern time. 7 p.m. for Angel's stream for Angel in the afternoon. And that guy, yeah, I think he might still be in chat unless he went to bed. And then we have our American Tradition clip show. I offered for Himbo, if you want to do it Friday night instead, because it seems that there are fewer people live Friday night and do Politically Homeless, then I don't know if Crab will be down to give up his Friday nights as a single guy in his 20s, but if they want it, they're more than welcome to have it, and we'll move the clip show to another night. But
it's an American tradition.
And then Saturday night, the wrestling show will be back. They took a week off this week. Angel was hanging with his girlfriend. Much needed week off. Dude's been killing it. I mean, I think he did 3 streams each of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So proud of you, man. Keep doing it. And keep watching all the INN shows. Keep watching for all the clips. I don't even put out any assembly of the clips. They're really only available on the INN YouTube channel. Now, the clips for How Do We Miss That, I also email out on the Indie Media Today newsletter, so subscribe to that. And subscribe to all the INN channels at indienews.network. If you want to support independent...
So please, whatever.
Yeah, that too. And then I'm going to put this up one more time. We've got all of our wonderful supporters and donors. Supporters, I mean, you get a service, you get product for this. It's not a donation. It's not a crowdfunding. And we have to be careful now about how we say this. But we have supporters who appreciate the content that we provide on an ongoing daily, weekly basis. And we love you for it. Thank you so much. Again, the Ko-fi link is up there. There's multiple links listed there. And we will be back at midnight Eastern-ish for Boats. Until then, I love you all. Support independent media because we need it more than ever. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Bye, fam. Keep listening to what little birds to tell you. Seeing you a bit.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I think I liked it better being blind when I couldn't read between the lines and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time.